Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Friday, July the 26th, 2024, and I would like to welcome you all to This Is Just a Thought with Stephen Carnegie. Hope everyone is enjoying their Friday or will enjoy their Friday. End of the work week is here. End of the work week is here. We have made it, folks. We have made it. Finally, for most of us, some of us have to work this weekend, whether it be one day or both days. They're like I always say, there are bills that always need to be paid. You got to do what you got to do. But for those folks that have the weekend off, enjoy. Enjoy. All right, today's word of the day, stoic, which means showing no emotion, especially in response to pain or distress. Stoic. Hey, and then before I go any further, let me just say this. Hit that like and subscribe button also, along with that bell icon, so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. A lot of interesting topics we are going to be talking about. Hey, the election's coming up. And if you've been watching, you know it is turned into a three-ring circus. It's well on its way. Just give it time. Just give it time. So there's a lot of interesting topics we're going to be talking about. I want to talk about the election today. I'm not going to do it. I'm sick of it already. I'm sick of it already. I'm not going to talk about it at all. I might do something tomorrow. But if you listen to the last podcast, I had a little technical difficulties, but I pretty much was starting out with that. So if you need to find out, what is really going on, go back to the previous podcast I did. I believe it was Tuesday. Finally got that up. Yeah, I had some technical difficulties. I apologize. I got it worked out, I believe. So, yeah, I'll probably be doing something about the election tomorrow, but I ain't doing it today. I ain't ending my week off with that foolery. Just ain't gonna happen. Just ain't gonna happen. So hit that like and subscribe button along with that bell icon so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. Get in that comment box. Let me know what you guys think about these topics, whether yeah or nay, about whatever the case may be, whether you like it or you don't, or you could just say, hey, I really and truthfully think you should sit down and shut up. Won't hurt me none. No skin off my back. I am pretty thick-skinned. I won't get open dead. Just not. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it. You just are. You just are. All right. Let's move along here, man. Hey, the weather here in North Carolina. Thank you, Jesus. The heat is gone for now. Man, it's been raining all week. I believe it started back on last Saturday or Sunday, maybe it started, and it's been going on. It's been going on all week. In the evenings, we've been getting some pretty good showers. It's cooled things off. Temperatures are in the 80s, but yesterday, man, it pretty much it rained all day. It didn't stop raining around here in this part of North Carolina where I'm at. In the Piedmont, central North Carolina, to about maybe I want to say 3 or 4 o'clock, and it was dark and gloomy, overcast all day, much like it is today, because we're going to get some more later on this evening, and it rained from the moment I woke up, or maybe the moment I laid down. I'm not sure. It could have started raining. It probably did start raining sometime in the morning. I was knocked out. Probably why I was sleeping like a log, and it rained all day. Now this rain, like I said, we're expecting this is the end of it this evening, and the weekend's looking good. No rain, but temps are going to be in the 80s. In fact, temps are going to be in the 80s pretty much all of next week until Thursday, where they say it returns to the 90s. I knew it couldn't last long. But yeah, the weekend's going to be looking beautiful. Hey, Sunday morning, they're saying it's going to be in the 60s. Ow. When's the last time you guys heard me talk about temps being in the 60s? It's been a while. It has been a while. So yeah, it looks like We've got to cool off a little bit. Maybe this will continue. Doubt it. We still got to get through August. Really doubt it. But man, I hope that heat don't come back like it did, because I was frustrated, man. I really was. I don't know about you guys out there, but those 100-degree days with those heat indices, it just sent me, boy, I was frustrated. I was just tired of it. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, we still got to get through August. We still have to get through August. And speaking of man, have you guys heard what's going on out there in California and Canada? But California, those wildfires, they are engulfing certain parts of the state. Man, and they're in need of rain. I would think, at least, hey, in addition to those wildfires, they're fighting that heat, because there is still a heat wave going on out there in California. And if that's not enough, you got the wildfires, you got the heat wave, and you got the wind. The wind picked up. What's happening is a lot of firefighters are getting caught or almost caught, and when they realize they just have to leave, they have to abandon what they're doing. There was a news reporter that was given was doing a live shot, a live feed, and she had the cameraman pan over to some trees, and she said, "Hey, look, you can see the fire is going up the trees, it's burning as it goes, it's way up in the sky." You know, this is California, they do up in those mountains. So as she's doing her reporting, the embers just started falling out the sky. She said, "Oh no, this is too dangerous. Let's go. Let's get the hell out of here." That's what they had to do. That's what a lot of firefighters are facing also. They're fighting the fire. They figure they got a good handle on it. The wind shifts and it jumps. So much so, these particular group of firefighters that they were able to capture on film, you can hear them say, "Hey, let's get out of here. We're getting ready to be trapped." The fire had jumped behind them, I believe. And they had to leave what they were doing and escape. So pray for those folks out there in California, man. Man, that is crazy. In Canada also, because Canada has some wildfires. Wow. That is, I can't even imagine being called to something like that. I don't even want to imagine being called in something like that. I don't know about you guys, but I don't. California is such a beautiful place, it appears, but sometimes that beauty nature turns it to a different beast. Because between the earthquakes, the wildfires, the heavy winds, the El Ninos or whatever, or what have you, or maybe even in the winter in those higher elevations, those that snow. Wow. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, here in North Carolina, it's looking lovely, beautiful. It's overcast today. It's a little cloudy. Sun isn't shining. Like I said, it's been raining all week. This is the last day of it. So I'll keep you guys updated on this temp. I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on out there in California. Pray for those folks out there. The oddest thing. Now, when I first heard about the wildfire, I said, "Oh man, how did this start?" You know, usually, sometimes, more often than not, you hear about lightning strikes to start wildfires, because I thought it was just another naturally wildfire. Then, of course, you hear about folks starting wildfires by accidentally leaving, some lighting something flammable out, cigarette, whatever, what have you, or could be cooking out, and the embers, hey, it's dry. It's dry in California. But apparently, some 40-something-year-old man, let's call him that, decided, I don't know if he decided he didn't want his car anymore, or he was upset with somebody, maybe he was upset with himself, his significant other, or maybe he was upset with the government. But the guy, the guy set his car on fire, put it in neutral, and pushed it down a hill. And that's how the wildfire started. Folks, what is going on with us as human beings in this world? I'm sure there was already some wildfires there, and the officials were already telling the residents, not to burn or whatever, what have you. You knew you knew what you was doing. You just knew. So now he's been arrested because there were some witnesses around that actually stood there and watched him do that, and they probably was sitting there like, what is this guy doing? If you're saying to yourself, why didn't they stop him? Think about it. You're out minding your business, and you look over, there's a damn fool setting his car on fire, puts it in neutral, and pushes it down a hill. I would be shocked too. I wouldn't know what to do either. Wow. What is going on with us folks in this world? Because we do have some loonies. We just do. We just do. But yeah, even though the temperatures here in North Carolina are pretty mild or whatever, we still have a little bit of humidity. So as always, hydrate. Put on that sunscreen if you're going to be out in the heat too long when that sun does come out. Put a hat on your head. Limit your time outside. Wear light colored clothing. And of course, as always, recognize the sign of heat exhaustion or heat stroke. And check on the elderly. We know how they do. We know how they do. So, man, pray for those folks out there in California. Pray and hope that the heat doesn't come back here to North Carolina. I can't do it. I don't know how much longer I can do it. If we could just make it through August. If we could just make it through August, I think we got it made, folks. I really do. I think we got it made. We can make it through August. So let's pray. See, maybe August won't be that hot. Yeah, right. Okay. All right, moving along here, man. Hey, the 2024 Paris Olympics kick off today, this morning, to be more specific. Unlike the traditional stadium march in, usually seeing all the athletes from all the different countries march into the stadium or whatever, or arena, whatever, what have you. But this year it's not going down like that. Apparently they're going to use a river. They're going to be floating down the river in boats. Totally different. Totally different. And this is, of course, the opening ceremonies and the ones they have selected to be the flag bearers for the United States of America is, of course, LeBron James and Coco Gauff, the tennis player, young lady. Remember, she shook the world up 2 or 3 years ago when she knocked off some pretty big cats in that Open to win that Open. So hey, apparently she's on the international U.S. Tennis team. And old LeBron is going to be representing the United States of America on the men's basketball team, which, by the way, I had the pleasure of watching them last Saturday against South Sudan. They didn't look so tough. And I ain't talking about South Sudan. I'm talking about the United States. And it was an exhibition. Relax. It was an exhibition. That's all it was. It was an exhibition, and they didn't look too tough. Sudan, in my opinion, handled it. The United States came back in the last closing minutes and seconds. And if Southern Sudan had some more time on that clock, I think they could have handed the U.S. a defeat. So I hope those guys get it together, whatever problems they're having, or if they're having any problems. Hope they get it together and bring home the gold. Okay. But yeah, I'll be watching the Olympics. Probably be flipping back and forth tonight. My wrestling's going to be on, so I'll hopefully I can find something. I'm going to start. I love the men's basketball. Don't get me wrong, and of course, I'll be watching that, as many of us do. But I think I'm going to try something different. Haven't really decided. I got to see the schedule, the programming. I think I'm going to try to look at some more stuff this year. That's the beauty of the Olympics, to me. You can watch any and everything, whatever's their program, whatever the programming allows, whatever's going on. Just tune in and watch it. And something also dealing with the Olympics that I kind of felt, I guess it's a good thing for those that want to be together. It looks like there's the museum here in Raleigh, and then there's a movie stadium here in Durham, North Carolina, is going to be showing the Olympics on the big screens. Now, the museum in Raleigh, it's a kids museum, but they do have a movie theater in there, an IMAX movie theater. And then there, of course, there's the one here in Durham. I wonder, does that have an IMAX also? I think it does. So they're going to be showing the Olympics. So, hey, if you're around, out and about, they're charging. Go watch the Olympics with some more American citizens. I wonder how much those tickets are. I really didn't have time to look and research that. But yeah, they're going to be charging. So hey, if you're here in Durham or near Durham, go to South Point Mall. And if you're in Raleigh or near Raleigh, go to Marvel's Kids Museum, the theater part. They're going to be screening or showing the Olympics. So we'll see. We will see. I'll be tuned in. I'll be tuned in. Hey, look, an update of sorts. We got some more backlash for Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and Republican gubernatorial hopeful. Also, well, actually, it's for his wife and the nonprofit she ran until it was shut down last year. Apparently, after an investigation by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services on the operating of this nonprofit called Balanced Nutrition. Balanced Nutrition, of course, if you're not familiar, it was a nonprofit that she ran along with her husband, who helped out, but she was the main one. What it did was it helped child care centers receive federal grant money to feed the children. So I guess they showed folks how to fill out the necessary paperwork to get the grant money to help with the feeding program at these daycare centers. Which daycares now, if you've been paying attention to the news, you know it's the cost is astronomical, and they're in dire needs. They can't retain, a lot of daycares can't retain or recruit new daycare workers, and folks can't pay like that. So they've gone to the state and asked for some help. But this particular incident here, this nonprofit that she ran, what they're saying is after their investigation of her and this nonprofit receiving federal grant money that she owes $24,400, to which she can now pay, or she can have 15 days to appeal, and they'll start a process, of course, of appealing. Now, according to the state's investigation, the business obtained money to help a child care facility to get the grant money. Like I said, that was what her nonprofit did. They helped the people with the child care facilities with the paperwork for this grant. But what they're saying is the child care facility never filled out the paperwork. So I guess that the nonprofit just push something through to the point where they could get the money. Because apparently they did get the money, because what they're saying is, hey, they also use that money to help with operating expenses on their nonprofit. And in addition to that, they hired and paid a family member. At one point in time, they were saying family members with that grant money. Wow. So she ran this nonprofit, Balanced Nutrition, that was helping these child care facilities fill out the paperwork to get that grant money, and they apparently used some of the money, or maybe all, a large chunk at least, to help them with their nonprofit, their operating expenses. And also they hired a family member, put them on a payroll. Wow. Now, the second lady of North Carolina, Miss Robinson, has came out and she's long denied the misuse of the funds and said the state's investigation was politically motivated because of her husband's prominence in North Carolina politics. Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on, because I'm sure that's why they started prying and looking around. If you know anything about Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, you know he don't mix words. He don't sway from what he says. He says what he says, and that's it. That's final. Ain't no coming back around, clarifying. It is what it is. If you can't comprehend, that's your tough luck. And if you need him to repeat it, he'll repeat it in the same way. He's not one to bite his tongue. Let's just say that. And, you know, he's caught a lot of flack from controversial statements he made about women's reproductive rights, members of the LGBTQ community, etc., 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 rah, 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 shish, boo, bah. That's just who he is. So I can understand her argument when she says all of this investigating was just because of his prominence in North Carolina politics. But I gotta ask, and maybe somebody can get in that comment section and let me know what is going on, because I'm always doing these stories about these nonprofits that take this federal money and think, is it that you guys get greedy and you lose all common sense because you take this federal money and you don't use it for the intended purpose? Do you really think you're going to get away with it, When have you or anyone on God's green earth in this great country of ours ever known the feds just to give you money and not come back around and see what has been done or what you are doing with their money? I've never heard of, I've just never heard of the feds giving away money like that. Like I told you guys with those PPP loans, a lot of people now are coming up under some indictments. They got to pull some jail time because of those PPP loans. Never had a business. I guess it's the greed. Maybe it's the greed. It has to be the greed because common sense would dictate, I would think, you got to know the feds are coming back. You got to know. If you don't know anything, you better know the feds, one, ain't going to give you no free money. And two, if they give you some money, they're coming back around and they're checking on their damn funds. And they will. And you better have some accountability. And when I say accountability, you better have good documentations of what you have done with that money, where it is, what was it used for, or where it is, and what you plan on using it for. And then again, there's another side of me that asks this question also to the state of North Carolina, because I keep doing these stories, I keep reading these articles, keep seeing these news stories on the TV. Where's the accountability for these North Carolina organizations, that Department of Health and Human Services, and all these other municipalities that are in charge of distributing this money? Do you guys really just don't check until some time later? Is it standard protocol? But by all means, someone get in that comment section if you know. Is it standard protocol that you wait a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, what have you, if all this money's been doled out, and then come back around and say, hey, we want to do an audit, we want some accountability, we want to know what you guys did with the money, what you plan on doing with the money? Seems like an awfully long time to wait to play with taxpayers' money. Maybe some of us taxpayers need to start asking some questions. Maybe you guys need to get on the stick a little sooner. I can understand if you say, hey, we wait a year or so. Maybe you guys need to get on the stick and start doing it within 3 months or 6 months to see what the world's going on with this money that is just given and then forgotten. Because I got to be honest with you, I agree wholeheartedly with the statement that the second lady has said here in North Carolina, as it relates to it's all it's all politically motivated, this investigation, because of her husband's prominence in North Carolina politics. I got to give her that, because chances are they probably would have never came back around. It's a child care facility. They probably never would have thought to look into it, see what was going on. And of course, like I said, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has made some controversial statements. He's even talked a little bit about nonprofits and how there's a lot of misuse and there's no accountability from the state, from government entities, not just state but federal also. I hope you didn't shoot yourself in your own foot there, homie. By bumping those guns, because the state is on you. They want their money. They want that 24,000. They want that 24,400. They gotta have it. They want to know where their money's at. So hey, I keep you guys updated on that. I will keep you guys updated on that. All right, let's go and get to it. Let's go get it. There was a recent study that was conducted by a doctoral candidate and author associated with Duke's Joint Program in Sociology and Public Policy, and also a professor of sociology and global health. Apparently, they did this study. I didn't find anything surprising in this study. Then again, maybe it's just me. But apparently, what they're saying is, as a result of this study, they posted their findings on how Black Americans develop mental resilience to discrimination. And it's done early in the teenage years and into young adulthood. No surprise. Now, what they're saying is the study the study was published back in June of this year, last month, June 24th to be more specific. It was published in the journal Social Science and Medicine. What it does or dives into, apparently there was some data that was collected by another survey that was conducted by the University of Michigan of young adults called Panel Study of Income Dynamics Transitioning to Adulthood Supplement. Both of these studies and research I looked at, pretty insightful. Pretty damn insightful. Now, for the longest time, as for me, I was saying to myself, man, these young cats, they can't handle it. But according to this study, they're handling it pretty well. And I think they are. We always ride these millennials. And we just do. So this this survey that was conducted by Michigan, what it did was it compared the effects of everyday discrimination on the mental health of 3,894 people between the ages of 18 and 28. Good time to start. 18, you're getting ready to get out into the world. I hope you're ready, because it ain't nothing like you think, or it ain't nothing like you believe, or it ain't nothing like you see on TV. I can tell you firsthand. I can remember back when I was 18, graduated high school, I was on my way to the Navy. I had this grand thought process and belief that the world was my oyster. I just did. And as far as racism goes, I said to myself, well, that's here in the United States, and more specifically and conducive to me, that's here in North Carolina, that's the South. Yeah, I had dealt with it a little bit. Yeah, I could see the social qualms, the social etiquette and protocol as it relates between black and white. I saw that at a very early age. And it was explained to me at a very early age what to expect and how to deal with it. Now, like I said, this survey was conducted by University of Michigan, which they're pulling all this data from. For people from 18 to 28, participants were drilled on a bevy of scenarios and social situations. Social situations that we deal with daily in life. I'm 50 years old and I'm still dealing with it. So, hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. What it does or did was how often, what it asks is how often they dealt with bias or mistreatment, ranging from customer service while shopping or customer service at a restaurant to feeling like their intelligence or trustworthiness was being questioned. Still dealing with it at 50 in 2024. Now, most of the participants said that they found themselves in situations like the before mentioned at least once a week. They must not get out much, or they must be confined to a certain area where they're with those that look and act just like them. And when act, I mean, I'm not being stereotypical or whatever, but folks that look and act and interact and talk just like you. For them to say they only experience it at least once a week, I get it more than that. I know many of you out there get it more than that too. I don't. I just do. And it ain't me going out looking for it. Believe me, I'm not one of these pro-black radical mixed militants. Everything is a race issue. I'm not that guy. I'm not built like that. My head doesn't work. My brain doesn't work like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as me and racism goes, I can care less about you and what you think or how you feel about me because of the color of my skin. I'll stay away from you. You stay away from me. But if by happenstance we happen to interact and your foolishness shows, hope the good Lord has a hold of me and can hold my mule and hold my fist also. I don't do ignorance of any kind. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in life. And that's ignorance from anyone, whether black or white, young or old, male or female, gay or straight. I just don't do ignorance. Even as a child, I didn't do it. I can honestly tell you that. I've always stood out and appeared awkward and standoffish because a lot of times when folks thought I was weak or docile or timid, I saw your foolishness coming a mile down the road and I distanced myself from it. So I really don't do ignorance like that. I just don't. Now, like I said, most of the participants said they found themselves in those situations at least once a week. And they also ask about their mental well-being. It can't affect your mental. It can't affect your mind. It just does. And how often, as a result of these situations or scenarios in public, they felt sad, nervous, hopeless, or worthless. Now, that goes on. The findings of the two before mentioned scenarios showed that Black Americans experienced discrimination early in life more than their white counterparts. Because this was of those 3,894 people, they weren't just all black; they were black and white. And when I said they interviewed a bevy of folks, they made sure they just didn't give it all to the blacks and say, yeah, rah, 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 it's discrimination, it's racism. They interviewed white folks and asked them the same identical questions and how their experience was when they were met with some discrimination socially, whether it be at a restaurant or shopping in a grocery store or whatever, or what have you. Now, overall, they're saying the study showed that those that were treated with contempt, ignored, little or no common courtesy, or just a lack of just basic human respect, they had higher levels of anxiety. That's not nothing new. Of course you are. You're going to have high levels of anxiety, and they're saying they also had high levels of mental health issues. And what it also said, which, hey, I know full well, if it's left unchecked in the teenage years, it can lead to depression and mental health challenges for Black American youth. Yes, it can. It really can. Now, this study concluded that also for white Americans, like I told you, they just didn't interview black folks. They interviewed some white Americans also. Now, these white American youth that were interviewed, they said that, hey, when we encountered some of the discrimination or mistreatment based on the questions they were asked, they didn't fare too well, meaning their resilience to move on was lower. And most took it to heart and found it difficult to progress mentally and emotionally. But the finding of that survey in Michigan and these two from Duke University are saying that with that last, with white American youth, them experiencing these unfair situations and scenarios and circumstances, it's difficult for them to process it mentally and emotionally. Many may even feel that their status or place in the social hierarchy was threatened. So much so they couldn't move forward. They couldn't move on. They couldn't believe it. Well, I mean, hey, if you've been taught one thing and then you get out in the real world and you see something different, yeah, that can mess with you mentally. It just can. And it will. For a while there was a point in time where I can honestly tell you a lot of Black Americans, they didn't like talking about the past. They didn't like talking about civil rights issues. They didn't like talking about the slavery. And there was a brief moment in time where there were some Black American youth that had no regard for it. They disregarded it. They said, oh, that's old, that's antiquated, that's before my time, I ain't worried about it. Got out in the world, and what do you think happened? They were reminded, or they were informed how they were viewed in this country that we're living in, and even this world. I can tell you firsthand, 19 years old, I don't know if you got, a lot of you probably haven't heard this podcast. It was back when I first started, I was back on Anchor, which you know is all audio. I tell the tale of my first time because, like I told you, when I first joined the Navy, I said, this is confined to the United States. This is confined more specifically to North Carolina. I'm in the South. Racism doesn't exist everywhere in this world. It was my first instance of me dealing with international racism at 19 years of age. I experienced it firsthand. But had I not, and that's what this study really doesn't dive into, it doesn't tell you how they're saying this mental resilience that African Americans or Black American youth have. How is it that they obtain this? Do they just keep getting battered and bruised and beat down? No. There's Mondukes and Padukes. There's auntie and uncle. There's grandma and grandpa. There's older cousins that are telling them this is what you got to deal with. This is what is coming down the pipe when you get out here into the world. You can't react because then you're going to find yourself in a totally different situation, totally different scenario, and trouble if you're lucky. So if I didn't have people in my ear in my younger years, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's how serious it is. Some of you out there may be saying, hey, he's just blowing things out of proportion. It ain't that bad. You try, and this is what this article and this study and these two from Duke University are really honing in and focusing on the mental aspect of constantly the bombardment of being belittled, degraded, not even being shown any common, decent human courtesy when you're out trying to conduct business on a day-to-day basis. How that mentally drains you, how it wears you down. And it does. It can do one of two things, or it may do one of several things. You can either snap, or you can internalize it and keep it inside till you have to be committed. Those are the only two options I can see. Either you snap or you have to be committed. So there is a mental drain. There is a mental problem as it relates to racism. And apparently what they're saying is that a lot of these black kids from now between the ages of 18 to 28, they are mentally resilient and they're tough and they know how to bounce back and they know how to deal and whatever, what have you, with these different scenarios in public. I go through it every day. Just going out to handle business, man. Just like this study dealt with going shopping or going to a restaurant out to eat. How do you combat that? And how's your mental well-being when this is going on? Are you feeling sad, nervous, hopeless, or worthless? I think a lot of them are, and it does. I can tell you firsthand. That's usually how you're standing there, or later on during the day or whatever, when you're sitting down and you finally have some time to yourself to think, you're saying to yourself, man, what in the world was that? What the hell did I stumble upon? I'm just going in there to buy something. Or I'm just going to sit down and eat and have a nice dinner after I've worked. And I want to enjoy myself. Excuse me. So, like I said earlier, that this survey really didn't reveal too much of anything for me. I think it did. And when I say really didn't reveal too much of anything for me, I'm not saying that I find the survey flawed. I find it spot on. First-hand experience. I find it spot on. And I would hope that you guys would share this with some young men, black men and women, even some young whites. They need to know. I don't think, because we're here recently, we have heard this over and over again as it relates to white America, and they're having a feeling that their place is being done away with in American society. Their rights are being trampled on. I don't think your rights are being trampled on. Matter of fact, I know your rights aren't being trampled on. Folks are just fed up with the idea and mindset and belief that they're inferior because of the color of their skin. No matter how much wealth they obtain, no matter how much prominence they obtain, they're still viewed and seen as second-class citizens, and they're pretty much fed up. I don't think anyone's trying to trample on anyone's right. I can honestly tell you that. And no, I don't want my piece of the pie. I don't need a piece. I need a whole damn pie. I just do. I think I've earned it. I don't know about you guys, but I think I've earned it. So these findings, they are pretty interesting. And I'm glad to see they're doing studies like this. And for a while, I got to be honest with you, like I said, there was, a previous time in the history as it relates to Black Americans, there was a lot of folks that didn't tell their kids or inform their kids about what it was to be Black in America and how they have to deal with it, how they can't get riled up in every single instance and get yourself jammed up or in trouble. And as a result, I think we had like a generation or two, or almost a generation, where they were slacking. But I think that's returned full circle now. Folks are actually having these conversations with these kids once again, and that's how they are mentally resilient, because of parental involvement or familial involvement, and not alarming, but making them aware of what they have to deal with in day-to-day life and society. Just is. Another side of this, I wish they really would have delved in on, crazy as this sounds, I've discovered, and I've been living through, a lot of the discrimination and the mistreatment and the bias that I experience, and I've seen it from many others, male or female, young or old, it doesn't come from white America like that. It does. I'm not going to deny that. It does come from white America, but I've seen quite a few instances of it coming from Black Americans being done to each other. No one can argue me down. I think that needs to be addressed and dealt with also. Needs to be put out there. Yeah, I have. Yeah, you have. Stop acting like that. You know you have. Because I've interacted with some of you, and your nostrils are flared up, and you're cussing and foaming and frothing at the mouth, cussing another Black person out for mistreating you, trying to play you out. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. You just have. You just have. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go and skedaddle. Hey, I want to thank you all for lending me your ears this morning. Continue to like, support, share, offer feedback, get in that comment section. Let me know what you guys think about the topics I talked about today. Are you guys going to be watching the Olympics too? I am. I really am. And what's going on out there in California with these wildfires? Man, I hope they get that under control and under control quick. I just do. And what's going on with the lieutenant governor and his wife and that nonprofit they had? And someone get in that comment section, someone that has a nonprofit, just explain to me how that actually works. Where you file this paperwork and you get this grant money. Is there some accountability? Is there someone from a government entity that comes back not only to see what you're doing, but what you have done with that money? Or is it just free reign? Someone get in that comment section. Let me know what you guys think about that. And also get in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this this survey and this article that was written by these two prominent educators at Duke University. Is the findings of this research study spot on? Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think so. I believe wholeheartedly it's spot on. Well, like I said, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to skedaddle. Try to enjoy the rest of my days, I guess, and maybe relax and watch a little bit of the Olympics tonight. Watch a little bit of the Olympics tonight. And as always, hey, thank you for listening to This Is Just a Thought with Stephen Cornegay. Amen.